What's up, guys? It's Alec from Team APS, and I have a brand new deck profile for you guys. It is my Eldlich deck. Yes, it costs many hours and much money, but we do have it right here. Let's check it out. So, right off the bat, we have our Golden Lord. I have him at 2. 2, I think, will end up being the optimal number for him. That's not just because he's expensive, but he's just not that great in hand. You can pitch him from hand with another spell to send a card from field to grave, and he has a great effect that will add him back to your hand and then special summon another zombie from your hand, or himself with 1,000 attack, and it can't be destroyed by card effect. So Golden Lord is a lot, and he's useful everywhere except really in the hand, because if you're going first, you're not gonna pitch him. So if you open up 2 of them, it's like you're -1 cards. It's really not great. But at 2, the only thing you have to worry about is Called by the Grave. And all you Eldlich players, you know what I mean. All right, so next up is a Zombie World package, at least I call it that. It's 2 Unizombies, 1 Necro World, 2 Mizukis, and 1 Doom King. I didn't run Blossom or Solitaire just because I didn't want more things that could be Ash, and I didn't like having a high monster count. If you count all together, this is 8. And this is right about where I want to be. Baller Drock, as good as he normally is, isn't even that great in this style of deck, but he does apply pressure, and a lot of your boards are just him and him. So you kind of need something to build pressure. So simple Zombie World strategy, no Glow Up Bloom. I just didn't need it all that much. Then triple Cursed Eldland. This card is so good. I wish we could search it, but we can't. It lets us search our Golden Lord or the Golden Land Spell or Trap cards, or we can send them to the grave. So this works perfectly with the strategy. You have to run it at 3 because otherwise you're just not going to see it enough. Next up is Eldlich Black Awakening. This is our #1 play starter. It summons a zombie from deck or hand to field. But if you don't have the Golden Lord, you have to then summon the Golden Lord, which isn't a problem because he's the guy we go to like 80% of the time. And then that other percent of the time, you're either fetching Baylor Drock or Unizombie, depending on like what you're trying to set up. And we'll get more into that later. Then there's 1 White Destiny. This summons one from the graveyard or hand, so it's clearly like not as good as Black Awakening, but it is a quick play, and for that reason enough, like I have no problem running this. Then double Zombie World. I thought about dropping it to 1, but sometimes you see it in an awkward hand where you have to pitch it for Golden Lord. I didn't want to be in that situation. So 2 has worked just fine because if 1 ever becomes redundant, it becomes fodder for the Golden Lord. So it's not a problem. This is the most important card of the deck. Foolish Burial Goods. You get to send any spell or trap to the grave. These, you know how these things work. Both the Eldlichs and the later mentioned Golden Lands, they all have effects in grave. If you don't use them that same turn, you can use them immediately, or if it's a Golden Land, you use it on the end phase. This is so powerful. This is where a lot of consistency comes from. Of course, you have to see the Golden Lord, so everything else has to be working in order for this to be good. But if it is working, this at 3 is a must. Next up is triple Called by the Grave, because we run a lot of Ash targets in this deck, and we just really don't want to see pivotal cards being ashed. People will start to realize that Black Awakening is a very important card for our strategy, and they'll try and ash it every chance they can get. So we're going to try and stop it every chance we can get. And the best part is, it's a spell, so you can use it to pay the cost of like the Golden Lord's effects. So if you don't need it, you can still use it. Next up is Pot of Extravagance. Speaking of things we don't need, I'm not talking about this card. I'm talking about the extra deck. We don't really use it. You can build one if for no other reason than to use this card's effect. This is so strong. It's so good. And if I don't want to use it, oh, it's a spell, so I can use it with Golden Lord. Last but not least, no zombie deck is complete without Foolish Burial. There are times when you don't see Black Awakening and you have to start plays with White Destiny. Well, this card lets you just send the Golden Lord to grave, and you can use White Destiny and grab him right out, and you can just make your plays from there. But also, I'm running the Zombie World stuff, so this is just important. It's a zombie deck. Then the Golden Lands. So I'm going really, really hard with these. 2 Conquistador, 2 Waqueto, and 2 of the Guardian. And I guess the last Golden Land, even though it's kind of like an honorary one, is then 2 Golden Land Forevers, the counter trap. The idea here is I don't want to run out of cards for the engine. The longer you can play, the more likely it is that you will win. These cards banish themselves, except for this one. These all banish themselves from the grave when they get your Eldlich cards. So after a while, you will run out of cards. I'm not running the recycling card because it's unsearchable and unreliable. So I just have to rely on these 6 and then these 2. I'll get into them in a second. This can pop face-up cards. This can banish cards in the grave. And this puts a monster's attack to 0. I found many opportunities where all of these cards have been useful in different situations. These are pivotal cards for the strategy. But they tend to attract like back row hate. So keep that in mind. And keeping that in mind, that's why I run double Golden Land Forever. This is our counter trap. We have to have the Golden Lord on field to use it, and we have to tribute a zombie for cost. That's another reason why I like running the Zombie World package, because I don't want to tribute like the Golden Lord if he's my only zombie. If I can help it, I want to have another zombie on deck that I can tribute, because my opponent might catch me slipping if I tribute the Golden Lord. So love it at 2. Gotta have it. And the last of the Eldlichs, this one is extremely important, even though it's a trap. Scarlet Sanguine, just because a lot of our effects will let us set our Eldlich cards. So in a way, this being a trap isn't a problem, because it can be set and then it's immediately usable on my opponent's turn. It's just like Black Awakening. You can summon one from the hand or deck. It's just great, and I tend to like look for this card before I even look for Black Awakening once I reach like a mid-game point. And last but not least, triple Impermanence, because I hate my opponent's effects. It's a solid trap. There's no reason not to run it. And the most solid of the traps is Skill Drain. My God, this is the strongest trap in the deck. The Golden Lords doesn't really have any effects on field, and then the Golden Land monsters, their effects are trap effects. They're not affected by Skill Drain, so this card's just a win condition. And if you can use the counter trap to make sure this doesn't get destroyed, then you can just steamroll your opponent from there. That's it for the main deck. Into the optional extra deck. I guess it's not optional, it's just that the things you run in here are optional. Take this as more of a guide on what you can run, not necessarily what you have to run. So, first up, Vampire Sucker. It's a very common play in the Zombie World strategy. However, she's not all that necessary here. You can still go into her, but it's just not that important. I'm running Nightmare Phoenix, just as a generic 2 option, and Yuki Onna, the absolute 0 Mayakashi. I think all these cards are great. The thing is, I just don't ever need to make them. Oh, I missed one sucker. But Link Karibo and Nightmare Unicorn. Actually, this is a holdout from when I used to run Blossom. This doesn't even need to be in here anymore. But doesn't matter. I barely make them. But cool cards that you can make more so than your Link monsters are level 8 synchros like Scarlight, Boros Savage, Omega, and what's his name? Shogun Saga. These cards are all excellent because Unizombie can very easily facilitate level 8 synchros, either by increasing his level by 1 and using level 4, or just his normal level at 3 and any of your, and 2 of your Golden Lands, which are level 5. They make these guys very easily. These are very strong cards. You put them next to the Golden Land, and you pretty much got it. I run the 1/9, the Yoko the Graceful Maikashi. I never get a chance to use her. But it could be useful since we can summon these things from the grave with any one of our Eldlich effects. So, and she can pop a card when she does it, so it should be good. And then last but not least, rank 8s, because Doom King, Guardian, and then something else in this deck also become level 8, so that you can very easily make rank 8s in this deck. This is a negate. This is really annoying, and he's a sleeper pick that zombie decks have used in the past, but we don't always make rank 8s. Lancelot can negate a spell or trap, or more so he has to, it's mandatory, but also Lancelot can attack your opponent directly, so 2,000 for game is a thing. On the downside, though, we play Pot of Extravagance, and there's really no telling if you're going to see these cards. And that's it for my Eldlich deck profile. It's still a work in progress because we don't really have an active IRL tournament scene where we can really put these cards to their paces. But in just the testing that I've done, I've really enjoyed it. So let me guys know if you have any changes that you want to make to your builds or you think I should make to mine, and I'll keep it in mind. And stay tuned for more excellent deck profiles by us in Team APS.